So guys, so yesterday I was at my competition and I started hearing full pad mode all around me, and then I checked the WCA website and I saw that they announced full pad mode. So today we're going to check out the announcement they made and also hear my opinions about this. First off, I think this is a really good change, and I think this will prevent a lot of controversies like sliding, karate chops, sketchy time stops. So let's get into the announcement. So this is the announcement, and I think full pad mode will come to the WCA in 2027. But does that mean that you're not allowed to use G4 and G3? I think so, because I don't know, they didn't have full pad mode. But my biggest concern is, what are the countries going to do that don't have enough money to replace all of the timers? Because one G5 timer, I think, costs around €50. So if you need 50 of them, it's going to be 2,000, more than €2,000. And I don't think a lot of countries have that much money for timers, because that's just kind of unnecessary to replace all the timers. But I'm hoping they have a solution for this. But let's see what they say. Okay, so since our formation in WCA has recorded times based on speed solving timer with 2 sensor pads, so 2-pad mode, and although these timers are capable of precise measurement, the accuracy of the measurements of this measurement is timing a speed solving attempt requires the timer to be stopped and started in accordance with the WCA regulations. So they're basically saying 2-pad mode can stop sliding, and it's really hard to see like if it's stopped or if it has. So it's really hard to see if the person was sliding or a karate chop, and you need frame by frame analysis to check it out, and that would just take way too much time. So let's go on to this part. It has become clear that the use of speed solving timers with 2 sensor pairs causes difficulty in enforcing these regulations, because a lot of times there are sketchy timer stops and starts. I think especially in 2x2, skew, pyraminx, and just in most of the sprint events. Especially since the regulations infractions may not be visible to a judge when viewed live. Yeah, I think this is like the main problem, because when you're sliding, it's really hard for the judge to tell if you're sliding, and frame-by-frame video offers one route around this, but performing this analysis is time-consuming and relies on high-quality video being available. But there's not always high-quality videos, and I think in sports stacking they film everybody's attempts, but so they can check it out if the timer stop and everything was legal. But I don't think they're going to. I think it's really unnecessary to film everybody and check if the timer stops were legal, because that's just way too much work, because everybody can be sliding. You don't know who's sliding. We also didn't know that Hieng was sliding until he got that 0.7 world record, and we could only see that it was sliding because the quality of the video was just really good. But if you have awful quality or don't have a video at all, nobody will know if you are sliding. So this will really prevent controversies and cheating. The WCA therefore decided that switching to full pad mode represents the best solution in these challenges. I understand. I also wouldn't want to just spend my whole day at a comp reviewing people's souls. I think that's just a waste of time. So I think this is still really a good change. And this new requirement will replace the existing requirement in the WCA approved timer list, which currently requires 2-pad mode and also allows for use of the G4 timer pro timer and the G4 StackMat pro timer, but you're not allowed to use them anymore. And I think there are a lot of countries that only use G4 and G3 timers. So I think that's going to be a problem, because they probably don't have enough money for just buying 50 new timers. Full pad mode will require changes to the regulations for starting and stopping the speed solving timer. Draft regulations changes will be published for community feedback in September. I think it's good that the community can give feedback to help improve like the regulations as part as the annual regulation cycle. I have no idea what that is. I don't really follow the updates, except if it's like something really huge. Oh wait, here, all regions which are currently using timers without full pad capability will have SpeedStack G5 timers provided in time for the effective date of this change. Costs will be covered and logistics will be handled by the WCA. I don't want to be the WCA right now. That is going to cost so much money, but I do think it's a really good decision that they are offering to pay for it, because I don't think the people who organize competitions can just get 4-pad timers out of nowhere. So that's really nice. Oh wait, but they probably have a contract with SpeedStack, so they probably not get it for free, but they probably have a contract, so I think they're saving a little bit of money instead of like buying everything. Yeah. For more information on the factors behind this change and the process followed by the WCA to arrive at this decision, please refer to the 4-pad decision process explained in the document. Okay, we'll also check that out because I can. This is just a video of me yapping. I don't know if I'm going to edit this. I just want to get this video out as fast as I can because I want this video to be out as fast as I can, and if I edit it, it's just going to be a mess. So let's check this out. I don't know how to zoom. I'm really bad with computers. Oh, okay, that's how you zoom. Yay. Okay, the overview. So let's check this out. An accurate timing system is a fundamental component of any WCA competition. Since its inception, the WCA has used two things to validate accurate timing of competition solves: a judge and a SpeedStack timer with 2 touch pads. But a judge doesn't have frame-by-frame analysis, so I think it's the best time to switch to 4-pad mode, because I think over a year or two, people are going to bend the rules so much just to shave up milliseconds of their time for timer stops and timer starts. Maybe people are going to stop recording their solve so they can slide or something. I think that would happen. So I think it's good that they're implementing it now. It's still a bit late, I think, but I think it has a process for implementing these stuff, and I think they should have introduced this around 2 years ago, but then they just deleted, like they penalized Yang 0.78 2x2 work average, and then he didn't slide. But in April, I think there was a huge controversy because Ronnie pointed out that he was sliding and it was just really unfair. So I think that's why they actually decided to step in and do something about this. While generally acceptable, it has become clear that these procedures are insufficient for validating that the timer was started and stopped in accordance with the WCA regulations, because a judge can't see anything anymore. The nature of the 2-pad timer allows great leniency when both starting and stopping, leading to regulations infractions that are impossible to reliably identify with the naked eye. Like, judges can see if somebody stopped the timer a bit too early, but they can't see if somebody is just sliding. It's really hard to see that. So yeah, I think the G4 timer was also just a flaw, and maybe they should make a new timer, because I understand that they want to stop the sliding, and I know a lot of sketchy timer stops are also the problem, but I think with a lot of events, stopping with 4-pad is going to be a problem, so maybe they also need to make like their own one, like the WCA timer. I think we need to switch to a new timer or something, because 4-pad mode stops are still, I think, kind of unnecessary. But I know it will stop karate chops and stuff. But I think stops you could see if it was sketchy, but starts are a little bit harder. So I think maybe WCA should design their own timer and make 4-pad starts, 2-pad stops. And while recent high-profile events have brought large public focus to these issues, these are merely a symptom of the core problems. Competitors at a variety of levels frequently make timer starting and stopping violations, typically on accident or due to poor practice habits. I also started the timer really bad. When I just got my gang timer, I didn't have a competition for around 2 months, and I got the gang timer, and I don't know, I started practicing and I didn't notice, but I started starting the timer with my wrist here, and I really didn't notice. And then at my one comp, it was my first squad solve of ever in competition, and I started the timer, and this delegate comes to me and he says, she started the timer wrong. And I was in the middle of my solve, just trying to do in a 40-second squad solve. But I thought I did stop the timer correctly and start the timer correctly, but I didn't. I'll show you, I put a screenshot up here how I started the timer. It's actually horrible, but I think I know what they mean due to poor practice habits, because I didn't film myself, so I also didn't know that I started and stopped the timer wrong. So I think a lot of people do it on accident, but you don't slide on accident. And I think Yang is doing it like on purpose, because he has been pointed out for this a lot of times. I don't know if this is true, but I also heard rumors that he started at MAC Mid-Atlantic Championships. I don't know if that's true, but I heard a few of his souls were penalized. But I'll put up here if it's true or not, or here on the screen there. So let's just go to the solution they had. The WCA has decided to switch to the speed solving timer. The WCA has decided to switch the speed solving timer requirements to be a speed stack G5 StackMat Pro timer operating 4-pad mode. 4-pad mode offers many advantages. It nearly eliminates timer infractions due to accidents or carelessness. Attempting to gain an illegal advantage with a timer infraction in 4-pad mode is extremely difficult to the point of it being impractical. That's what I said in the beginning. I don't think it's, you can cheat. I think there is a way to slide, but it's going to be so obvious that you are sliding that it will be penalized. And I also don't think it's going to save time. So, yeah, I don't think there is a possible way to have a sketchy timer stop or start on 4-pad. Maybe if like start with your fingers or something, like, I don't know. But yeah, I think cheating is going to be really, really difficult, and it's going to be really, really obvious, and I don't think it's going to save time. So just like I say here, timer infractions 4-pad mode are much more obvious and likely to be purposeful attempts at cheating. And 4-pad mode is hardware-based solution that requires no additional equipment, because if you already have a G5 timer, or I think almost all the timers in the Netherlands already G5. I think just at Dutch Nationals they had G4s because they were a lot more competitors, so they didn't have enough timers. But I think in most of the countries they have G5 timers, maybe 2 or 3 G4s, but most of the countries don't have to buy extra timers. So I think that's also why they are switching, because if they needed to switch to a completely different timer, I think this would have been a whole different story. But they are only talking about like the advantages, but I also see one disadvantage, and I don't know if you guys can remember, I wasn't cubing back then, but at the 2029 World Championships, Shen Yuknom, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, he stopped it, like, he pressed the reset button while stopping the timer, and he didn't become world champion. But he would have become world champion because it would have been like a high 9 or some, a high 6 or something. So that's why they changed the reset button, that you need to press it really long for it to reset. But on 4-pad mode, I remember, because sometimes I speed stack or something, yeah, just like once every week. On 4-pad mode, you can reset the timer if you just press on it. And I think maybe this is going to be a problem, because if people want to stop the timer, they're going to have like, they're going to be used to stopping it like this, and maybe going to press the reset button and it's going to reset. So maybe they need to change that, because on 2-pad mode you need to press the reset button for 1.5 seconds, but on 4-pad mode, if you just click on it, it instantly resets. So I think that's also maybe going to be a problem. But if you just stop it normally, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Oh, considered alternatives. So these are alternatives they wanted to consider. Let's see if any of these would have been like worth it over just 4-pad mode. 3D printed attachments. What? These attachments attempt to stop timer start infractions by making it impractical to do so. However, they are not completely reliable at the intended of purpose. They require additional equipment and do nothing to impede timer stop infractions. I don't know, what do they mean with 3D printed attachments? How do they do that? Like, I don't understand what they mean with that. Can somebody please tell me in the comments, like, what do they mean with attachments? Specified cube placement? What? This proposal would mark a line on the mat where the cube must be placed, ensuring the competitor has started the timer before touching the cube. This procedure, however, is very easy to forget. It's not realistic to enforce at all competitions, requires modified equipment, and does nothing to impede timer stops. I think timer stops was the main problem also for why they didn't do these three. And specified cue placement, like, you guys know I'm a clock main. And I think a lot of clockers, I like to place the clock as close as I can to the timer without actually touching it, so it's like this, and I can immediately go and turn the cue. But if the clock is like all the way here, I need to go like this, and I think if you needed to place a cube on a specific part of the mat, like really far away, it's going to take even more time than with just a 4 pad mode. So yeah, no, this is not a good idea. I'm happy they didn't do these first two. Strictly police top competitors. While timer infractions have a proportionally larger effect for more experienced competitors, this is not an issue that affects them in isolation. It is also not scalable use of resource to solve this problem with never-ending volunteer work. University fixing the issue with automated solutions is a large priority. Frame-by-frame analysis will continue to be available for more rigorously ensured regulations are followed for relevant attempts in according with regulation. I don't understand this, but I think they basically mean that. Sorry, I can't read English. Actually, I can, but I can't read it out loud. It's horrible. Sorry. I think they mean like that they really need to check every solve at top competitors. But I think, yeah, no, that would just that's just way too much work. And how do you consider someone a top competitor? Like, someone maybe get a national record and like for Scube or something, and it's like a 5-second solve. I don't know. Maybe it is in some country that a Scube single is 5 seconds, and then it's not a top competitor, but they still slid on that thing. I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do any of these three options. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, the main concerns. Yeah, look, they have a speed stacking like contract, I think. As the only current available 4-pad timer is produced by SpeedStacks, this decision restricts the WCA to a single timer provider. While this does constrain the possibilities for recognizing other timers in the future, WCA has only recognized SpeedStacks timers throughout our history, and we believe that continuing this partnership with the latest 4-pad timer technology provides the best outcome for our organization. I understand why they are doing this, because if a random organization just makes a new timer, you don't know if it's going to be reliable or not, because I think we've been using 4-pad like G4 speed stacking timers for so long that they know the equipment is not going to fail and everything, and I think I think speed stack timers are still the best timers. So I understand this. And maybe they'll make their own timer, but I still think speed stacking timers are going to be better, unless they do 4-pad mode start, 2-pad mode stop. But I think timer stops are also a big problem, because he holds the cube while he's stopping the timer. So yeah, I think they just need to stick with speed stacking timers. Global timer availability. All regions who are currently using G4 or G3 timers will have G5 timers provided in time for regulation updates. Costs will be covered and logistics will be handled by the WCA. Like I said, I don't want to be the WCA right now, but as we heard, they have a contract, like a partnership, so I don't think it's going to be that big problem. But yeah, so I'm just gonna like skip through this because I think the video is already pretty long. Effects on our competitors. So basically what they're saying is that the tutorial, there's always a beginner tutorial, and they're just gonna explain it but with 4-pad mode, so that's fine. Process timeline, so how they like the process or when they added it. So early 2026 they started investigating, maybe they should add 2-pad mode. And then April 2026 they had a lot of meetings with a lot of boards. Like, this is one thing that I'm kind of mad at. Why did only the board decide to remove clock? They didn't ask for the opinions of these people for the removal of clock. They just decided we're removing clock. It's that's not cool, because yeah, they pay more attention for new timers than removing an event. Because I think if they had like had a meeting with all these people, then Pro Clock maybe would have stood a chance and not been removed. But still, it took a while for them to actually make like the announcement, because it's summer, it's August, almost September. But this just shows it takes a while for stuff to get announced, all the details and stuff. So I think they maybe also started with like thinking about removing Clock in 2025, but it just takes just takes a while. So they're not really late, because I think it happened. Yeah, the sliding stuff happened in 2024, and then I considered doing 4-pad mode, but then that whole thing with Hyang and Shwani happened in April, and then they really started the thing with we're gonna implement 4-pad mode, blah 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 blah. And now just additional specifics. Yeah, draft regulations will be posted, and 2-pad mode vs 4-pad mode results. Time achieved with 4-pad timers are expected to be slightly slower than those using 2-pad mode timers, while significantly for some events at the very top level, this is negligible for the vast majority of competitors and events. To manage this difference, WCA ranking page will be updated to allow filtering for all results or 4-pad mode only. Results for 2x2 clock premiums and skew black. Why only 2-pad? Why only the sprint events? Just do all the events. I mean, it's kind of unnecessary to just do those 4. Just in all the events then. No other formal split of the 2-pad and 4-pad mode results will be made. This will result in a period where sprint event records are harder to beat. However, all current records are expected to be beaten eventually with 4-pad mode. Yeah, I think it will take a while for 2x2 and stuff to for 2x2 and stuff for the record to be beaten, but I think we'll get there, and I think Clock will definitely be broken. Kind of unnecessary that they're making a whole 4-pad mode thing for Clock, because Clock's gone over 6 months. Free Clock, bro. Okay, not 6 months. 300 something days. But still, free Clock. It's kind of unnecessary that they're making a whole list for Clock. This expectation is in line with feedback from top specialists in these events. Yeah, so I think they, like, as 2x2ers, this is really a good decision, and I think if I was a 2x2 main, I would be bummed out, because it will take a little while to come back with the 4-pad stuff, and timer starts and timer stops are really important in 2x2. But I think we'll eventually beat the records, because in speed stacking they also eventually, I think, beat the records for 4-pad, because at first they started the timers like this with the hand with the timer stops. The timer starts and stops were really sketchy, but they eventually beat the records with 4-pad mode, and that was a huge difference. I think the difference in the beginning I think the difference was, it was a bigger controversy with speed stacking, and a lot of people quit, because when they made an announcement, you can also see in the comments that a lot of people just quit. But I don't think it's going to be this big of a problem for the WCA, mainly because if you start the timer normally and just follow the regulations, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So I think this is a good change. The only thing that I think is kind of necessary is this, like, results for 4-pad mode only for the sprint events. And why for Clock? Clock is gone over 300 days. So I think they need to make a list for them, or just don't do a list. I think it's the same as male and female records, but still kind of unnecessary. But this is my, like, opinion. I know the video is way too long. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. I don't think there's much to edit. I just, like, take all the blank spaces and where I struggle talking to the camera. But yeah, please put your opinion down in the comments. 3K special will be out. I'm still waiting for someone to send their part of the battle. Oh no, they're part of the. Okay, I already spoiled what it's gonna be. But it's taking a while to edit, because I need to put screen timers. I need to introduce everybody. I finished the first battle, and that took around 3 hours. So it will be out soon. I'm working on a big video. But it will be out in November. But I also have other video planned. but I'm trying to do weekly uploads. This will count as this week, so maybe the 3K special will be delayed a bit because I've then uploaded 3 videos in 3 days, but consider subscribing. Comment free Clock and justice for Clock. We need to bring Clock back, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.